I gotta say, I look good in this week.
Oh yeah, we be snapping. That's why y'all be like this. We trying to be flexing at all times, baby.
I'll be getting some dick from this.
All right, so welcome back to the show, everybody. Today we have a very special guest. Ms. Caitlin Alyn.
Who I am just meeting for the first time right now.
Technically, this is my first time meeting him, too.
I met Caitlin on Instagram, so we've been friends on Instagram for a long time.
Very cool.
And I've been watching the progression of her career as like a comedian and a podcast host. She's the host of a podcast called Single AF, co-host, I guess.
Yeah.
And they talk about a lot of stuff to do with being single.
Mostly sex and dicks and stuff like that.
Cool.
So I thought that would be a cool topic to bring onto the show.
Great, yeah.
Now yours gets into really like specific things, like which we don't have enough time for.
For sure. I mean, we like to share our experiences as we go in life. It'll be like previously on Single AF, and we'll kind of catch everybody up. Like Nick was seeing the squirter girl, and Caitlin, got into a Rolls Royce with a Persian man, and like just these like stories about our dating and how this is going for us. Yeah. And so it gets specific, but we also bring it out to, we always have guests and we bring in their stories. We have like topics that we like to discuss and, that kind of thing. So it's it's been fun. We've had some really interesting guests. Like
currently, like I'm in a committed relationship and everything, but previously to that, I was doing kind of similar stuff.
Just having a show of a time.
Yeah.
Cool.
And it did create like a lot of good stories, and I realized that it got to a point where I was just doing it for that reason.
I swear that's why my co-host Nick is doing it. There's times I'm like, why are you going out with her? And he's like, for the pod. I'm like, all right, I'm not I'm not doing that. But
you also end up in these situations.
I just naturally end up in some really funny situations. I say yes and, honestly, I've been picked up by more dudes on the street than I care to admit.
Wow.
Because some guy will just be like, hey, what's your name? And I'll be like, all right, I'm going to see where this goes.
So I was going to say, like, my first question to you was like, what do you think it means to like be single in 2019? Like, how do you think it kind of holds up to maybe past generations, like your parents or whatever?
That's such a good question. I think that being single now, like we really need to figure out some things, because there's been such a big shift, especially like in gender identity and sexuality and so many things, and it's happened so fast, like especially with the internet, quite honestly. And then you bring in social media into that, and we're in a huge flux and like this growth spurt, and it's awkward, and it's we're figuring it out. But from my own experience, I've learned, because I was in a long-term relationship that ended 2 years ago, and in the last 2 years, like I'm learning about myself in ways that sometimes it's more than what I would like to know about myself. But being single is like, I think, a super valuable time for young people in their lives. And
how old are you?
I'm 30.
Okay.
Yeah. We're also in LA, so it's a little bit different too.
Real different.
Yeah. Real different. Like my friends in North Carolina, like they're on their third kid.
Yeah.
One of them is already in middle school or some shit. And it's
that's like all my friends back home too.
Yeah, where are you from?
Chicago.
Okay, so
Midlothian. We knew each other from back then.
Okay, that's
yeah. We went to college together.
Yeah. Okay, that's all making sense. It's like part of it is because I think we're hustling so hard, and I've run out of material on the podcast because honestly, I'm like, I don't have time to get dick right now. You know what I mean? I'm like, I'm too tired. Even like, it better be some damn good dick, because nothing is beating my bed right now. Like that is my one true love. Is this mattress?
When it comes to like your dating situations, like you already said that it's a lot of guys off the street, but
and Instagram.
Oh
yeah, baby.
So are you on like dating apps and stuff, or do you you can't even get to that?
No to Tinder?
No, now I was. I'm not like, no, f that. I mean, I definitely, when I had time, I was just like, let's do this. But no, lately, I'm just like, I'm not looking for it. And there was a time when I first split up with my boyfriend. I'd only been with him. That was it. So when I got out of that relationship,
how long you got together?
5 years.
Okay.
So I lost just for the math, I lost my virginity at 24, and then I was with him for 5, and then I started getting busy after that. So like up until I was like 27, 28 years old, I'd only been with one wiener.
Wow.
One wiener.
Wow.
So I've just been on this dick journey. I've just been
on this dick journey.
I'm just figuring out who I am and what kind of D's I like. But lately, I've been burnt out, a little bit. Like, seen one dick, you seen them all, really. That's what I'm realizing.
So are you just about the hookup? Or is this
right now?
Is it,
Yeah, right now. Because I haven't met anybody that I'm like, oh, I want to spend so much time with you. Or I'll find someone like that, but I don't want to bang them. There's like, this is like a real jigsaw puzzle you got to figure out.
So I was going to ask you that too, like when it comes to dating and stuff, because one of the episodes that I heard, your co-host was saying that like, he's not necessarily just trying to do it for the sex of it. It's in like... And you were like, I don't believe that. Like, you're like, I don't really believe people are like that. Now, I had this conversation with my girl, like, when I used to be on, like, Tinder and stuff. A lot of it was because I wasn't from here. And so I was doing it just to, like, literally pass time because I didn't know anyone.
Yeah.
And
there's a million reasons to do it for sure. It can be fun. There was a time where I was really, like, dating. Like, guys were asking me out, and we'd go and we'd get drinks, and then usually... we would get naked, and it was fun. And then I'd be like, all right, I'm good. I was just like going through I was just going through it and trying to do it from a judgment-free, like guilt-free zone, because there was obviously a lot of like negative. I would be like, oh man, am I a slut? Like, this is gross.
Yeah.
And then I'm just like, it, you know what I mean? Like, when I'm 40 and I'm like doing whatever I don't know what I'm gonna be doing at 40. Hopefully it'll be like, I don't know, being a rock star. But I'm not gonna be like, man, I wish I didn't ride all those dicks. I'm gonna be like, man, I was awesome in my 20s. The amount of dick I got, wow, like, go younger me, I'm not like proud of everything I've done, but I'm not gonna beat myself up over it either.
One of the earlier episodes that we did is getting married stupid? And we had this debate on like, I kind of think it's stupid.
Yeah.
And Angel does it.
Stupid's a...
Yeah,
that's a rough word.
Somebody came at me on Instagram for saying that.
It's not that it's stupid. It's just, I think it's antiquated, the way that it's kind of set up. I think it's a way to kind of control the situation where it's something you can't really control. You're going, I'm going to make a commitment to you, and just to prove to you, because my word and my, my actions aren't enough, I'm going to sign a bunch of paperwork to make this a mess when this is over.
But you're already assuming that it's going to be over, right?
No, I'm saying chances are, statistically speaking, the odds are against you, and it's not to say that that is going to happen, but that is a high probability. And in my opinion, the only thing, just all that paperwork and everything just makes that even more difficult, more messy. I think freedom is important in our lives.
I think on the flip side, that paperwork, when you don't have it, can be messy.
How so?
Well, that's a lot of the times why people like me were fighting for the right to marriage, so that we would have certain access that straight people have had all the time.
Right.
Meaning, if I was dating somebody and I wasn't married to them, and they got hurt in the hospital, I have no access to them. Let's say I was with somebody for a really long time and they weren't speaking to their family.
Sure.
And their families didn't like that they were gay.
Sure.
Right? I have no power.
And see, I don't know the laws here. So is the only way to have that is through a marriage license.
Right, because then you have the power of, I don't know what it's called.
Well, so then maybe the issue here is more about bringing the government into my relationship. And
that's your issue? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, like the paperwork and bringing the government into things. And it's like, in my opinion, and this is from my parents going through a divorce. Now my mom's going through her third right now, real talk. So it is like a mess. And it'd be one thing if like there was some kind of paper, if that were the case, like if I could have a partnership where for legality reasons or something, like, it'd be smart to do that. Like, I could see that. I just don't understand why the government has to have any say. Maybe that's more of like...
No, I agree with that.
There's the love element of marriage. There's the, like the union idea of marriage. And then there's like the business side of marriage. It's like...
But I think it's also important to say that what your experience with marriage is versus what other... Because I think it's all objective.
Sure.
You know what I mean? Like, you have experience with divorce, I do not. So that's not the example that I have. So I can't... It's like hard for me to swallow the idea of marriage being stupid.
And this was the original point that I was getting to, was like, do you think that it's reasonable to think that you could be just with like one person forever?
I think that's a different...
It's a different angle.
It's a different angle.
We were talking about, it was kind of what I was talking about in that episode.
You know, if that's the only way that I can go to the doctor with my, you know, my partner, if that's like the only way is by having this marriage license or whatever.
I mean, I don't know, because I think a civil union might be the case too.
This is I'm maybe there's
really
another
sure,
way around it. I mean, I'd be down with something like that if that's what like needs to happen or whatever. I just want to, like, for me, I want to leave it as simple as possible. I've even, you know, I would even like to have an open marriage, and not because I'm like trying to get other things in my life, but I don't go live your life. Like, just because you're connected to me doesn't mean that you can't be who you want to be and make the choices you want to make. And I expect that the same thing from my partner. And if I can't get that from my partner, well, I'd rather be single. Because I'd rather have autonomy over my own life. So that's just me, and I think everybody, like, you know, likes different setups. That's why there's polygamy and all kinds of shit out there. Find your thing, you know, as long as it's legal.
Yeah.
And there aren't any kids involved.
Plus that.
Okay.
Like the way that you were talking about earlier, things are kind of like switching over and changing, that it's going to become more normal to have like outside traditional relationships and stuff.
I think that one's gonna take some time, because that is something that so many people are like, there's still so much like stigma around that kind of lifestyle and stuff. And like, from my experience, because I've hooked up with married men who are, I mean, married, they're not married. Why am I doing this? They were married, but they had an open, you know, they were in an open relationship, and it was perfect for me because I didn't want commitment anywhere, and I just wanted to, but I still like wanted to have all the fun parts of dating. So I went out with a married guy, and it was so much fun. There were a lot of rules, and, you know, I respected those rules, and he respected the rules, and we just went about our business and had a good time. But
like, married as like the wife knew too?
Yeah.
Or it was like an open marriage?
Basically he lived in LA, she lived in Phoenix.
Got it.
They had kids, they had their own lives, and while he was here, he could do what he wanted. I wasn't allowed to go to his house. He wasn't allowed to like really spend any money on me. Like, he could get me drinks, like we could get a couple drinks, but no dinners, no shopping, like none of that.
So how did that work? Was it like there's like a checklist of things you have to like sign off on?
No, he would tell me,
something?
and I'd be like, hey, do you want to get dinner? And he would say, oh, let's go get drinks. But one of the rules I promised my wife, it wasn't something, it would only be when it came up, you know?
So was that like kind of hot though?
He's probably the hottest dude I've ever hooked up with. And that's when I realized I was like, oh shit, I didn't know I liked older men. Like, you just gave me a whole new flavor profile I didn't know I liked, you know? I haven't been able to recreate that yet. I'm still, you know, if there's any older men, you know, call me.
Because I found myself, when I was like dating around, I found myself constantly in these like ambiguous titled things.
For sure.
And like certain people would make me feel like I was garbage because of that. And sometimes the girls would be like, wait, what are we? And I'd be like, I'm gone. That's what.
No.
So I thought it was tight.
Gone.
I thought it was tight when I heard like you saying that you kind of were on that. And I was like, okay, I'm not crazy.
No,
like, I mean, I'm not alone out here.
No, and there's somebody for everybody in terms, I mean, not just, it might take a little time to find that, but be patient, you know? I have a feeling that I'm going to find somebody who makes me laugh. We can have really long, deep discussions, and then we go our brains out, and it'll be great, and we'll have the same, you know, interest. I want somebody who's ambitious too, because I mean, I'm hustling, and I have big lofty goals, totally. You know, and like,
that's
for me,
important.
I want to see like we're going in the same place.
I think that's pretty much number one for me.
Really,
because I'm single as well. I think that's like my top priority.
Yeah,
like if somebody doesn't match my ambition.
No, because I mean, once you at a certain point, you're gonna outgrow that. You know,
you're gonna outgrow them. Plus, and then they get upset. You know, they get upset with. Or
they might not get it. You know,
but that's what I mean. Like they just don't understand.
That was where I came. That was the angle I was coming from, as far as like the getting married and stuff. It wasn't even about marriage as like the documents and shit.
Sure.
It was about like just committing to a person forever. And I feel like eventually you're gonna outgrow.
I think if it's the right person, you won't, and because I do believe
that. Or bring other people into the mix. But again, that's why I'm in this open idea. You know, like you know, get into some kinky shit. I like the idea of having somebody where you're like, I've been having this weird, and they're like, I'm down to try it. You know, I don't know, because you have that trust and that bond that you know feel that way to do it. But I think freedom is key, at least for myself. You know, I got to be able to live my own life. And the second that I feel like I'm holding back on what I want to do because of someone else. That's resentment city, you know?
Yeah.
What you're saying is super interesting, because I also feel that there's a lot of people that stay with people because they'd rather be with somebody that's like sort of good sometimes.
Yeah.
Because they don't want to be alone.
Yeah.
Because they're like afraid to be alone. But I think that is the number one thing.
Yeah.
Especially if friends are like, and then they did this, and then they did that, and then they did this.
Like, why are you with them
then?
then?
One time, it's nice when I come home and I was like, okay, so you go home and you enjoy their company for a second.
Yeah,
and that's all that your relationship.
To me, that's not a partnership. That's something you're using to pass the time because you don't want to be alone. And I get it, but you know what? I've learned to like love being alone.
Same.
Sometimes I'm like worried. I'm like, dang, do I like this too much?
Wait, so how long have you been single again?
2.5 years now.
Okay, you're about a year over me. I've been like a year and a half.
How long were you with yours?
3 years.
Okay, yeah, that's still that's a really good chunk of time of your life. So when are you guys gonna break up?
Oh!
I'm just kidding. I'm kidding. Totally joking.
This is like my first time like really making like a solid effort, because what I'm realizing is in the past, and this is probably gonna put me on blast. So
Yeah.
like,
It is, but he's being honest. My goodness.
Yeah.
But like in the past, it was like I was really like, if you're not trying to be on what I'm on, like, sorry.
I think that's
But
honestly,
you gotta compromise a little bit. You know
I think
what I'm
that's the
saying?
best way to do it, though. I mean, you choose your battles. Like, there's certain things I'm like, this is a non-negotiable. But you have to have that commitment to yourself first, and that can be tough.
I think there can be compromises made without shortening your own ambition.
Ooh, that was well said. Put that on a t-shirt or a pillow.
She's got a lot. I've actually said that multiple times.
That is some yoga shit, you know?
Wow. When it comes to this whole game, where does like sex fall into, like, is it even that important to you?
Right now,
Like not now. Okay, let me rephrase that. Is
are
it
you talking about in like a
committed-
partnership?
in a
like, or where it's like you did it with somebody else? I can't believe it. Like,
Oh no, I'd be like, what y'all do?
You mean like if somebody that you would never want a monogamous relationship? Is that what you're saying?
Not saying never. I'm not, if it happens, it happens.
Yeah.
What I'm saying is that, I mean, you guys are in the film industry, right? So you get it, like, if I'm on a movie set and I'm away from my husband for 3 months and I'm just been doing all these like romantic scenes with my scene partner or whatever, and I want to go fuck his brains out in my trailer, I'm gonna be like, yo babe,
it's going down.
either you need to fly out to, Chicago for this shoot, or I'm about to my coworker.
I'm freaking out over here.
Yeah, like, it's because too, I don't know if you guys act, but man, there's time, because I have like scene partners in my acting class, and you might not think anything of them. You're like, oh yeah, that's Daryl, and then you're in a scene with them and you're like, oh, that's Daryl. And you're just like, I want to fuck Daryl all the time, because you're like doing these like intimate scenes with people and you have to be really vulnerable.
That's a really interesting perspective.
It is
we
insane.
are not actors.
I would hope the same thing for my husband, partner, whatever. It's like, go have fun. Like, bring that fun back to me, though, when you're done. In fact, my ex that I talked about moved to Chicago for school for 1 year. And we'd been together for so long. We'd only slept with each other. And I was like, look, you're going to be gone for a year in Chicago. I'm going to be here in LA. Can we just have our own fun for a little bit for 1 year? Because at that rate, I was like, we're headed towards marriage. We've been together a long time. We've been living together for 3.5 years. Like, where else are we going, And if that's the case, that's going to be a monogamous situation, and I would feel weird not ever seeing a dick in my life. I'm not trying to be that girl who's seeing
to see one.
Right. So I was like, this is our out, baby. Like, 1 year, you have some fun.
Out, baby.
Yeah, this is our out, baby. Anyway, he was like, yeah, okay. And then the first girl he met, he was like, I can't do this. Broke up with me, started dating her. But I still...
Did that hurt you or no?
At the time, I was like, you motherfucker. Like, it was just like, you couldn't just, I gave you permission. You could have just stuck your dick in there and it would have been fine. We cannot, oh God, we have to cut this out if his girlfriend sees this because I'm friends with his girlfriend.
But that's why I was going to ask you that, because I feel like when you're in that spot of like, you've only been with that person, because like my first girlfriend was kind of the same thing. That would have not even been on the table at all. Like, I would have never even had that thought, because it was like it meant so much more to me at that time.
To me, the way I saw it was he was going to go to Chicago. I wanted him to like go to bars, and I wanted him to just like explore that part of his just like masculinity of just like, I want you to go and live this part of your life, because if we end up getting together and having this like partnership, this marriage, this life or whatever, you know what I mean? Like, I want you to have had your fun, even if it ended up being like, I want you to test the waters and know like that pool's not for me. If that's, you know, and it ended up that pool was for him, you know what I mean? Like that other person was the one he wanted to, who am I to like,
you don't want him to have any regrets. You know
no, I wanted him to live his life, and that's what ended up happening. And even though it's not what I would have liked him to live his life doing, I gave him that freedom, and he took that freedom. And so for that, I'm not gonna
I respect that.
Be upset about that. I mean, obviously it hurt because he was my best friend. I loved him. I missed him. It was hard. I was living on my own for the first time since, you know, forever. We had been living together for so long. So it was hard. But there was even a point early on where I'm like, you did the right, I mean, I text him, you did the right thing. You did the right thing. Like, I know you're feeling bad. Don't. I mean, fuck you. But, you know, and now he's still like, he's one of my best friends. Like, we call and talk all the time. He and his girlfriend are cool with me.
Go ahead.
There's so many things I want to talk about. Okay, so I want to talk about if you think like these dating apps have diminished dating, like have diminished the whole courtship type of appeal to dating. And then I wanted to talk about, as time has progressed, I feel a lot more people are discovering the spectrums of sexuality.
Totally.
And I think that that's awesome. But I also think that I have had personal experiences where it's also not fair sometimes, because these straight women will come to somebody that's like a lesbian like me and it's like, I want to try it.
Sure.
But they're not. But
that's dating in general.
Right.
Honestly, is going, hey, you know, going on a date with someone is going, I want to try this. And then if it's not for you, it's not for you. And if it is for you, then you go, I want to keep doing this. You know?
That's true. I mean, that's true.
And I mean, it's a little difficult, you know, because if you look at it on a spectrum, like I'm pretty straight. I do love gay porn or lesbian porn. Go figure that. I've heard that's a lot of
No, I did hear
like
that. I have heard that.
What?
The
Like
straight women
girls
watching lesbian porn.
And it's crazy because like I do not like lesbian porn.
I think it's because
I don't.
That's a whole. I'm not even going to go down that.
We can talk about it because like to me, I'm like, wow, like when I see lesbian porn, they got those huge ass nails.
Oh,
I'm like,
no, that's how you scrape the lining of your uterus.
I was like, oh hell no, you are not coming near me at all with those nails.
So goddamn funny.
I have to
pound write that down. I might need to steal that from you for some stand up. That is
absolutely
brilliant.
Way you're
Wow,
coming anywhere near me.
Like, for real.
About how amazing.
Wow.
Are you imagining how that would feel, or just how amazing?
No,
that
that's
feels good.
That is such a good insight that I'm just like. That's so true. But
and I'm not saying that it shouldn't, because I think everybody should explore. I think being open with the spectrum is a great thing, because I really do think sexuality is on a spectrum.
Totally.
Also because like for me, who I would say I am a lesbian, but even after I came out, like I had some. So it's like, it was very confusing to me. The more you know. It was very confusing to me that happened.
Sure.
But at the same time, as I found myself trying to force myself into boxes, but now I'm like, if I have sexual energy with somebody, then it doesn't matter to me.
I would like to get to that point, because I agree with you, and I think we might put some walls up, and we might actually limit ourselves. I mean, if you ever wanted to experiment, I don't know. I think it's tough for me because I'm not on the other side of that, like being the lesbian and being the like, ooh, I'm gonna be your sex Sherpa, you know, and like take you on this journey down to clitoris town.
Come with me.
You know, I've never been on that side of it, but like, I don't know, like there is a part of me that's like, if there was someone who would be that Sherpa for me, like I might take that journey and like experience it and maybe have this cool experience with someone. But
so you're like you do consider yourself on a spectrum. You do agree that we're all on a spectrum?
I think we're all on a spectrum, and the only thing is just literally your limitations in thinking. And there's nothing wrong with that either. Like if
I agree with that.
doesn't mean like take those limitations down if you're uncomfortable with it.
No, absolutely.
But that's how I feel about it. I feel like you could love anyone and have that energy with anyone if you don't have walls up. So with that being said, when I think of vaginas, do I want to get all up in that? I don't even really like looking at my own, to be honest.
That's how I feel about dick.
Yeah, so this is a litmus test. Are you a lesbian? Do you like looking at vaginas? And if so, call her. This show is wild. I have to say, this has been so much fun.
I'm enjoying it.
Yeah, this is fun. She's like, this is weird. I'm actually having a good time.
Yeah.
Well, okay, so the other thing that we'll get back to now, this is the first thing that I said, is do you think that...
The dating apps.
So dating apps, right? Yeah. There's something called a thirst trap. It's also on Instagram.
I'm very familiar with
Are you a thirst trapper?
I do, but I call it out. I hashtag it thirst trap. I know what I'm doing.
So I have a question.
Sure. He's over here throwing me under the bus.
If you're over here and you're thirst trapping, you know what you're doing, right? Mm-hmm. You are like 100%. You know exactly.
I'm not going follow your dreams, and if you miss, you'll land amongst the stars. I'm not like putting.
Put your
I'm not like shoot for the moon, but it's my ass.
Shoot for this moon.
My thing is this: if you are setting thirst traps, that's fine.
Sure,
that's totally cool. You know what you're doing.
Yeah,
I love it.
They're fun.
But there's some people who will set thirst traps and be like,
set thirst traps.
It's like it's a bear trap. And they'll be like, it's a clam trap.
Why doesn't he want to be with me?
Like, what's your mission when you set a thirst trap? What do you expect to catch?
There's a quick clarification I want to make, at least on a personal note.
Okay.
For me, I want to post something that because I like it and I realize it's going to come across as a thirst trap, so I just lean into it. For example, there was a time about 20 pounds ago where I was like, God damn, like I was like, felt really good about myself, and I wanted to share that. But it was also like, I'm in my under. It looks like I'm like, what's up? So it's like, so I just was like, you know what? And I didn't do it too often, but there were times where I was like, I look good, and it's a disservice to my followers
if I
to
don't
not see this body.
Get it?
So, that's how much I love my fans.
Her fans.
All three of them. Two of them are here right now. Yeah, so there's a slight difference, but I understand that the girls who are doing things clearly for attention, and then they're going to say, why am I only getting this certain type of attention? I think that goes for in life, though, too. Like, this goes past Instagram, but it goes to, like...
You get what you put out?
You get what you put out. And you know what? Even the guys that DM me are guys that also will DM me because they love the joke I told, or, this video I posted they thought was really funny. It's like I'm getting recognition not just for this hot ass. I'm also getting it for my amazing personality and humility. Like, it depends. If you want a relationship and that is really something that you want, my best advice is to write down on a piece of paper, like, really, like, what does that look like for you? What does this person look like? Like, what is your ideal? What is something you find really sexy? What are the qualities that you really, like, respect? Like, talking about, I want someone who's ambitious. Like, that's really important, write those things out.
Totally.
And if you meet somebody and, like, they're really hot and you like them, but they're not, nothing else is qualifying on that list, I'm not saying boot them. I'm just saying recognize game. You're there to get some dick, and that's fine.
Or vagina.
Or both. Or both. Whatever. Whatever genitals you want.
You trying to get them.
Just get them, and don't feel bad about it. And it doesn't affect, or it doesn't reflect your worth if it doesn't go on, or if you don't want to do it again.
I was gonna say, everybody should definitely check out the Single AF podcast.
Single AF.
Do you guys have like a schedule, or you just kind of do it
every other Wednesday? So our next episode will be next Wednesday. I don't even know. When is this coming out?
It doesn't even matter. Yeah, because this is gonna be out
17th, April 17th.
Okay.
Is the next one. I don't know when this is coming out. So it. But every other Wednesday you can follow us at Single AF Pod on Instagram, and we always we'll let everyone know when episodes are dropping and whatnot.
And then remember to rate and review their podcast, rate and review ours.
Please rate and review ours.
Like and share this video because it's dope, and Caitlin is the
yeah.
Caitlin is the also catch her on stages, the Laugh Factory,
and thirst trapping on Instagram.
Yeah, she's out here doing it all the time. Just constantly grinding hard, and I respect that.
I'm also volunteering and giving up a lot of humanitarian things too.
She's saving babies in Ghana and stuff. Like, we're out here.
Yeah. Thank you for having me.
Yeah.
It was so much fun. We need to have you again. We ran out of time.
Yeah.
But there's so many things I want to talk to you about.
We'll have to do it again.
All right.
Round 2.
Doing it. All right.
Bye.
Cool.